Part 72. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 711. Wen Qiao shrugged, wanting to tell him to shut up. Fu Nanli's slender fingers slowly moved from her shoulders to her mouth, and gently covered her mouth. Hot air hung on her fingers. The man is a little distracted. Fu Nanli seemed to be in a good mood, accompanying the other party and talking nonsense. How can we join forces? Wu Zhe became more enthusiastic. This is it, I have thought about it. My father, and you, Mr. Fu stocks combined, enjoy 2/3 of the voting rights of the board of directors. We vote to drive the dead girl out of the board of directors, leaving a vacancy. How about you make up the capital and be the largest shareholder? Wen Qiao pressed his temple. Han, please shut up. Fu Nanli chuckled. In this case, I'll ask Wen Qiao for his opinion. Wu Zhe was stunned for a moment and didn't come back to his senses. What? Fu Nanli then said, Qiao, what do you mean? Wen Qiao's voice reached Wu Zhe's ears clearly. You can do whatever you want, I don't care about your investment. Wu Xiaodong was startled. He lost his grip on the phone and fell to the ground with a thud. There was chaos on the other side of the phone. It took a long time before Wu Zhe's voice came. Sorry to bother you. Fu Nanli's indifferent voice came. The little girl invested 10 million when your company was on the verge of bankruptcy. She is your company's benefactor. She shouldn't be plotted by Wu Xiaodong behind your back. What do you think? Wu Zhe said hurriedly. Yes, you are right. You have repeatedly blocked her, and the little girl did not join forces with me to drive you and your son out. You have been extremely kind to you. What do you think, Mr. Wu? Yes. Fu Nanli's face was livid. As for what to do with you, the little girl has the final say. After hanging up the phone, Wu Zhe's arm felt even more painful. What is the relationship between little girl's film and young Master Fu? Why are those two people together? Fu Nanli put down his phone and glanced at the person in his arms. As a leader, sometimes you should show some courage so that she doesn't even dare to deal with you in private. Wen Qiao, I will learn from Mr. Fu humbly. Although she owns a club, an entertainment company, and a pharmaceutical factory, she is almost a hands-off shopkeeper, leaving them all to others to run. She only makes the final decisions. What are you going to do with Fenlin's young director? Wen Qiao raised his eyebrows. It's a family business. Many people in the company only recognize people named Wu. As soon as I entered, I fired the boss and the pharmaceutical factory collapsed. So, let him obey me. If Wu Zhe obeys me, everyone under him will also obey me. Do you have any idea? Wen Qiao nodded. There should be no problem. It can be said that she is quite experienced in dealing with such rich second-generation dudes and getting them to correct their evil ways. After all, she is known as a reformer for bad students. In mid-December, research on blood diseases reached a climax, with several major domestic pharmaceutical companies investing an unprecedented amount of manpower and material resources to research specific drugs and vaccines. Whoever comes out on top will be able to save people's livelihood. Wen Qiao went to Fenlin. In order to pretend to be pitiful, Wu Zhe didn't take off the bandage on his hand and sat down opposite Wen Qiao. Wen Qiao knew that for Fu Nanli's sake, Wu Zhe was submissive to him on the surface, but he must be calling her a dead girl in his heart. Are you scolding me? Wen Qiao poured a cup of coffee and placed it next to Wu Zhe. Wu Zhe jumped up like a grasshopper. Mr. Wen, how dare I scold you? Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 712. Is this damn girl capable of reading minds? Wu Zhe broke into a cold sweat. Wen Qiao slowly drank hand-ground coffee and glanced at him. Is the injury serious? Wu Zhe replied cautiously, It's not bad. It's my fault. I shouldn't be rude to Mr. Wen. Not to mention, this kind of slap in the face made Wu Jie feel a little complicated. If the injury hasn't healed yet, I'll ask a doctor to come over and take a look at you. No, no, thank you Mr. Wen for your concern. Wen Qiao nodded, is it because I am young that you are dissatisfied with me? His tone was calm, and his inner emotions could not be heard. It was completely different from the 20-year-old college student Wu Jie had interacted with before. He was slightly panicked. Mr. Xiao Wen is joking. You are the major shareholder and you injected capital into our company when it was in the most critical moment. How could I be dissatisfied with you? Wen Qiao put down the coffee cup in his hand. Okay, these high-sounding words, you tell others it works, tell me, it doesn't work. Wu Jie. If you have any problems in the future, just state them clearly and don't use roundabout tactics. Do you understand? Clear. Wu Jie suddenly came to his senses. Why was he so obedient all of a sudden? This little girl seems to have an inexplicable aura that makes people obey her. I will lead Metza to move up from the bottom step by step. If we can develop this special drug, it will be a good thing for the country and the people. The country will be on our side, and the funding for medical research will be greater in the future. It's easier to get it from other companies. Wu Jie, aren't you just joking? Wen Qiao held a golden stirring spoon and gently stirred the coffee. Do you think I'm child's play? Wu Jie thought to himself, maybe she had the Fu family's gold mine behind her, and her ability to spread money should be better than any rich second generation. Moreover, so many state-owned pharmaceutical companies, as well as multinational pharmaceutical companies in country M, are developing special drugs. Can his small factory develop it before other companies? Little girl, wake up and stop dreaming in moderation. Wen Qiao let go of his hand and the small spoon fell into the coffee cup, causing ripples. Within 1 year, I will double Metzlin's profits. This is what Wen Qiao said. After that, she left. Wu Jie rolled his eyes and said, innocent. On December 20th, June sent a message to Wen Qiao, a specific drug has been successfully developed. Please contact the people at the Haikan Health Organization. Wen Qiao, June, and He Yang went to the health organization in Haikan with the special medicine developed by their laboratory. Then they were stopped outside, and Wen Qiao revealed that they were from Fenlin. The security guard held his ears. Where? Fenlin. Wen Qiao smiled slightly. Sorry, I've never heard of this pharmaceutical factory. He Yang clenched his fists. You don't have to be a big pharmaceutical company to develop it. The security guard waved his hand. Go, go, go. Recently, many pharmaceutical companies have said that they have developed special drugs, but they are just trying to defraud the state of subsidies. They will go where they come from. The leaders of the Ministry of Health do not have the time to receive you. June whispered to Wen Qiao, I'll answer the phone. Wen Qiao saw June walking to the side of the camphor tree to make a phone call. Not long after hanging up the phone, he saw 5 or 6 men in black suits running out of the White Health Organization building, with health organization pins on their chests. Red badge. The leader ran over all the way, and others did not dare to neglect him. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 713. The security card requires credit, a few more children are messing around. They say they have developed a special medicine. Minister Qin, look, I am about to drive them away. Nonsense, I think you don't want to do it anymore. Minister Qin scolded angrily, and the security guard turned pale with fright. These young people looked ordinary. Is it true that he has no eyes and cannot recognize Mount Tai? Minister Qin said respectfully, You are President Wen, right? Wen Qiao was a little confused. Well, I am. Fenlin was indeed not famous, and she expected that she would not be taken seriously when she came here. Why did this minister treat her so favorably? Minister Qin led them inside, and Wen Qiao whispered to Jun, "Do you know this minister?" Jun said hurriedly, "I don't know him." "Is that my brother-in-law who knows you?" "He doesn't know me either." "Maybe Mr. Fu said hello." Wen Qiao nodded, "Maybe." No matter what, Minister Qin received them solemnly and put the special medicine they provided into animals for experiments, and achieved very good results. After that, it was put into clinical practice and achieved great success. The health organization and Jun's team have been observing for a period of time and proved that this special drug has no adverse side effects and can be widely used in hospitals across the country. At this point, Fenlin has become famous in one battle. Wu Zhe was dumbfounded. After a small fight, he really made a name for himself. Before, he had objected to Wen Qiao's useless research on this special medicine for blood diseases. Now, Fenlin has become famous and major media want to interview him, and Wen Qiao doesn't like to appear in public. Wen Qiao handed over this work to Wu Zhe. This is completely satisfying. Wu Zhe loves to show off. At the door of the pharmaceutical factory, Wu Xiaodong dressed meticulously and said solemnly, "I have been very optimistic about the newly established research group of our company from the beginning. The board of directors proposed to research special drugs. I agreed immediately without saying a word. Funding is a great thing that benefits the country and the people. Making money is secondary. We mainly want to solve the country's medical and patient situation. Thank you for the public's trust. Thank you to Mr. Wen on the board of directors for proposing to research special drugs. Thank you to the researchers in the laboratory. And also thank the health organization for sparing no effort in helping us." Wen Qiao was watching this interview in Fu Nanli's study. Fortunately, he was allowed to be interviewed. "I couldn't say a word of such high-sounding words. Since he is so good at using official accent, let him do the outreach work." Inadvertently, Wen Qiao arranged work, and Wu Zhe actually felt that Wen Qiao was using him more. "What I said before, I will fight against her until I force her out of the company, seems to have been completely forgotten." In the folk music building, Lu Yuyu touched the strings of the guqin and looked at Wen Qiao with a smile. "Mr. Wen, how much did you earn this time?" Wen Qiao adjusted the strings. "Frankly speaking, I have no idea about money." "Chun Xiao, that's what rich people say." Wen Qiao shrugged. "Anyway, I told the company's second-in-command to double the company's profits within a year and complete the KPI 1 year ahead of schedule." Several people clapped their hands. "Boss Wen is awesome." Wen Qiao raised his eyebrows. "I'll treat you to dinner tonight." "Lu Yuyu, eat the most expensive one." Mr. Lu also has many properties in Haikan, and people often come over with projects and want the Lu family to invest. The venture capital industry is already very popular. If you have a good vision, your wealth will increase exponentially. If you have a bad vision, you will be able to invest hundreds of millions without even hearing the splash. Lu Wenzhou met another entrepreneur who was soliciting investment. The other person made fantastic remarks, and he responded perfunctorily. Finally, his secretary said to him, "This man's name is Jun Ling. While he is in the entertainment industry, he is looking for sponsorship from various bosses. He wants to start a business. He is a speculator, second master. You don't have to see him anymore." Lu Wenzhou raised his eyes slightly. "I understand." The film Zhou Tao wanted to act in before was because she did not succumb to the unspoken rules, and Su Lu's colleague Tang Jin became the underground love interest of the producer of that film and successfully got the film contract. At Nanqiao Company, Wen Qiao flipped through the news on the internet. "The team for that film is pretty good, but if you lose it, you will lose it. I will give you a better film appointment. What you want now is a film that can be a hit. I have a fairy tale here, the heroine is the most beautiful in the three worlds, and it suits your temperament very well. The hero has been decided, and his name is Junling. Good news. Zhou Tao is about to get divorced. In addition, the list of winners, Kinga, Tang Tang, Yui Yu, Xiaoduan, Autumn Memory, De Chi Wants to Get Rich, Shinashuk, Hizeos, Pampering Yuzu, Tangerine Sissy, Snow Shadow, Dora Eamon, Hiruo Shuangling, Tian Yuking, Tuxia Fi, Forgetfulness, Clouds Think of Clothes, Flowers Think of Appearance, Red, Just Be Happy. Dear little ones, please quickly join the group and ask the administrator to report your address. I will send you customized pillows. 712200469 group number. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 714. Zhou Tao, I've made you worry. Wen Qiao smiled, let me tell Sister Man later that our company's artists don't need to do things like accompany the producers to dinner, except for celebration banquets, final banquets, and private drinks. Zhou Tao looked at her, the entertainment company has already formed this kind of trend. Then our company will be a breath of fresh air in the entertainment industry. Zhou Tao originally chose Wen Qiao just to stimulate Lu Wenzhou, but now she feels more and more that maybe she has chosen the right career direction. So what if the man is gone, she should focus more on her career. Lu Yu ran in and threw a document on Wen Qiao's desk. Zhou Tao happened to be there too. He had an advertising contract. It was an advertisement for skincare products from country H. His temperament matched well with Zhou Tao's. The other party had already appointed an actor for the co-production. Model. Who did the other party appoint? It's Junling too. He's very popular because he's filming a TV series with Zhou Tao. Do you know him? Wen Qiao nodded, yes, I know you. Zhou Tao, you filmed this commercial first, and then joined the team to film this fairy tale drama. Christmas has passed, but the Christmas trees and lights on the streets have not yet been taken down. Just as New Year's Day is approaching, the festive atmosphere is strong. Lu Wenzhou was sitting in a luxury car, with his long legs crossed and a tablet on his knees. He stopped at the entrance of a shopping mall where Zhonglina's jewelry brand was cutting the ribbon. He was idle and was invited to come over and take a look. When I got out of the car, I looked up and saw a familiar figure standing in front of the Christmas tree. In the middle of winter, Zhou Tao was wearing a thin white skirt. There was a blower blowing on her side, creating the feeling of flying skirt. He also knew that the man opposite her was Junling, the liar who went to his company to solicit investment 2 days ago. The two looked at each other and smiled. The director sat in front of the camera and kept saying, okay, you two are a perfect match. The picture is very beautiful, very good. 360 degrees with no blind spots, it's really eye-catching. The veins in Lu Wenzhou's hand stuck in his trouser pocket were slightly bulging, and she really spared no effort to dangle it in front of him. Nowadays, they have fallen into hanging out with liars. Stupid woman. Zhonglina came out of the revolving door, wearing 10-centimeter high heels, and called Lu Wenzhou in a coquettish voice, Brother Wenzhou, you are here. When Zhou Tao heard the voice, she turned her head and saw Lu Wenzhou. Behind him were dots of graceful lights. Because she was short-sighted, the lights were blurred into one piece, like a natural lighting board, making him calm and solemn, as if in ancient times. The nobles coming out of the castle. The director shouted, click. This shot is not good, Zhou Tao, be serious, don't be distracted, just smile at Junling, just smile. A steward on the set accidentally brought a piece of wire to the scene, and the Christmas tree behind Zhou Tao suddenly fell down. Everyone panicked. Zhou Tao calculated the distance and found that Lu Wenzhou was actually closer to her than Zhonglina. It was easier for him to save her. When the Christmas tree fell down, She saw Zhonglina being pulled into Lu Wenzo's arms, while Junling held her and fell to the ground. The screams and the sound of the Christmas tree falling to the ground were intertwined. Zhou Tao was wearing thin clothes, and the cold wind whizzed past her ears, and she heard the sound of her heart breaking. It was now certain that Lu Wenzo would never like her no matter what, and even if she died in front of him, he would never reach out to hold her back. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 715. Will not. Half of the Christmas tree fell on Junling, and Zhou Tao's shoulder hit the concrete floor, causing severe pain. The staff worked together and hurriedly pulled away the Christmas tree that had hit Zhou Tao and Junling. Zhonglina was beside her in shock and clung to Lu Wenzo's arm. "Brother Wenzo, thank you for saving me. I was really scared to death just now." Lu Wenzo's eyes were on Zhou Tao. Junling stood up holding Zhou Tao. "Are you okay?" Zhou Tao reached out and covered her shoulder. "I'm okay, how about you? You're not hurt anywhere, are you?" Junling smiled heartily. "It's okay. This Christmas tree isn't very heavy. It's probably just a minor injury. The director was also responsible. I'd better send you two to the hospital for a checkup first." "Zhou Tao, director, it's okay, don't delay the shooting." Only then did the director realize that there was a trace of blood seeping out of her white gauze skirt on her right shoulder. "No, it's better to go to the hospital for a checkup. There's nothing wrong with being delayed for a day." Zhou Tao's assistant quickly brought a black down jacket to wrap her up. "Let's go to the hospital." A group of people walked past Lu Wenzo in chaos. Zhou Tao didn't look at him again. "It's no longer necessary." There was a smile on her lips all the time, laughing at herself for being stupid, laughing at herself for wasting such a long time on not giving up, laughing at herself that she actually knew the outcome from the beginning, but she had to get herself into such an embarrassing situation. She left, and Zhonglina shook Lu Wenzo's arm. "Brother Wenzo, let's go." Lu Wenzo lowered his eyes. "Well, let's go." Zhou Tao and Junling went to the hospital for full-body examinations. Fortunately, both of them had minor skin injuries and there were no major problems. The advertising director breathed a sigh of relief. They were most afraid of an accident on the shooting site, which would not only delay the construction period, but also cause a bad reputation. The director said to Zhou Tao, "You two have a rest tonight, and we will make up for the unfinished filming tomorrow." Zhou Tao told the director that she had worked hard and was sent home by the driver. In the small house, she sat on the sofa for a while, and a child's voice came from outside. "It's snowing." On the day when the first snow came, she finally realized that she might never find love in her life, and she was finally completely disappointed with the person she had fallen in love with since the beginning of her love affair. She took out her mobile phone, and the background of the chat was with him. He and his brother were fencing. The moment he took off his helmet, he looked handsome and full of sexual tension. She licked her dry lips, word by word, exhausting all her energy. "I agree to divorce. The lights in the shopping mall are bright, and the jewelry reflects it, adding even more pearl scent charm." Lu Wenzo looked at the line of words on the phone screen with no expression on his face. Zhonglina came over to take his arm. Lu Wenzo put his hand in his trouser pocket and avoided her hand without leaving a trace. "The ribbon cutting is over, I'll leave first." "Brother Wenzo, there will be a ribbon-cutting banquet in a moment, at the hotel opposite. I still have something to do, you can go and attend by yourself." Before Zhonglina could respond, Lu Wenzo turned around and left. Zhonglina lightly stamped her foot. Many brand directors and female celebrities wanted to meet Brother Wenzo. He just left like this. He really didn't give her face. It was snowing outside, and scattered snowflakes were floating down. The staff put up the Christmas tree again and hung up the lanterns. The words "Happy New Year" were blasted on the large outdoor screen of the mall. Lu Wenzo got into the car with a cold face. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 716. Zhou Tao obtained the certificate from Lu Wenzo in her junior year of college. She really spent a lot of effort to successfully marry him. Thinking about it carefully, if a man she didn't like used his elders to pressure her into marrying, I'm afraid she would be even more ruthless than Lu Wenzo. For a year and a half, even though she was a low-key child and obedient, she never attracted his attention at all. After that, she became thorny again, and she started to quarrel with Lu Wenzo within 3 sentences. In fact, I learned it from the internet. It is said that those young masters from wealthy families like to fight against them. She couldn't help but laugh. Zhou Tao, you are such a fool, look what you have done in the past 6 months. People who don't like you will not like you no matter what your temperament is. It was so difficult to get the marriage certificate, but it only took 10 minutes to get the divorce certificate. Because of Lu Wenzo's stern face, the staff didn't even dare to mention the necessary persuasion step in the process. They just clicked the official seal on the book, and the two were completely divorced. Lu Wenzo picked up the small red book indifferently, stood up, and left the office hall, seemingly without any nostalgia. Zhou Tao held the divorce certificate and gently rubbed the red cover. The same thing happened to him on the day he got the marriage certificate. The old man personally sent him to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get the divorce certificate, and he was still like this. He has never changed. She walked to the door of the Civil Affairs Bureau. It was still snowing outside. She tightened the scarf around her neck and walked into the heavy snow. In the black Rolls-Royce, bodyguard Wang Hui said cautiously, "Second master, madam, she doesn't seem to have a car." As soon as the words came out, I realized something was wrong. She is no longer madam. Ms. Zhou doesn't have a car. It's snowing, so I'm afraid it's not easy to take a taxi. Are you concerned about her? The man in the back seat had an expressionless face and a gloomy voice. Wang Hui was excited and said quickly, "Uncle Chen, let's go." The driver, Uncle Chen, immediately started the engine and the car slowly drove away from the yard of the Civil Affairs Bureau. Zhou Tao had also walked to the roadside. It was cold and snowing, and he saw in the rearview mirror her hand to stop the car. Several taxis passed in front of her, but none of them stopped because they were already carrying passengers. Zhou Tao rubbed her hands gently, breathed a sigh of relief in her palms, took out her mobile phone and planned to call a ride-hailing service. Unfortunately, it was not easy to call a ride-hailing service online, and no one took the order for more than a minute. She thought she had picked a bad time to get the divorce certificate. Not far away, there was a red light, and a black Rolls-Royce stopped at the intersection. It was a large intersection, and the wait for the red light had to be more than 90 seconds. People like Lu Wenzo were a little impatient even waiting for the red light. The air pressure in the car was a little low. He glanced at the rearview mirror several times and saw a car parked in front of her. It was a 2-seater Mercedes-Benz Z4 coupe. Zhou Tao just opened the car door and got in. Wang Hui was a little worried. "Second master, are you a bad person?" "Madam," Miss Zhou got in the car rashly. The trot quickly arrived at the intersection and parked side by side with their car in front of the white line. Lu Wenzo turned around and saw the man in the driver's seat. It was Junling, the liar who fell to the ground with Zhou Tao last night. Wang Hui was worried. "Second master, that man is not a good person. I don't know what purpose he has in approaching Miss Zhou. Maybe he knows that Miss Zhou is your wife." "Oh no, she is your ex-wife." Lu Wenzo's face was a little gloomy. "If you don't want to do it anymore, just say so and I'll replace you with a bodyguard." Wang Hui immediately fell silent. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 717. The green light turned on, and the Mercedes-Benz running beside them walked ahead of them. Lu Wenzo's face was ashen. He was a stupid woman, and he would no longer care about her life and death. Whether she was cheated or tricked had nothing to do with him. Gu Yunzu finally waited for a good opportunity. The Fu family's annual meeting would let some media in, and she paid a high price to buy a reporter who had immigrated and obtained a green card. The reporter thought that he could not only get Gu Yunzu's money, but also get an explosive news headline on the front page. If he earned enough from this vote, he immediately immigrated to country M, where there were also TV stations willing to pay him. Gu Yunzu asked reporters to directly expose Fu Xianyuan's affair and illegitimate child at the Fu family's annual meeting. If she comes out and suffers misfortune, she will use public opinion to put pressure on the Fu family. The Fu family has a big business, and they want to save face. They don't like to be the talk of the public after dinner, so they must recognize their Gu Xiao back to the Fu family. If she admits it, then she will give up. In that way, Gu Xiao would have more inheritance rights. Not only could he inherit Fu Xianyuan's property, but he could also inherit the old man's. If she doesn't admit it, she is barefoot and is not afraid of wearing shoes anyway, and the worst is likely to happen. Anyway, Fu Xianyuan is no longer here. She never thought that directly exposing Gu Xiao's identity as an illegitimate child to the public would bring him so much abuse and so much dirty talk. Gu Yunzu only thinks about money. She used to be Fu Xianyuan's Jiyahua just for money. Later, he learned that Fu Xianyuan was struggling and actually loved his wife, so he planned to drug Fu Xianyuan and notified Ye Mingkaiu to catch the adulterer, also for money. The Gu family used to be from a high-ranking family, but later her father failed in business and lost all the family property. Once she fell from the clouds into the quagmire, everyone stepped on her, and she suffered all kinds of discrimination and ridicule, as well as all the warmth and coldness of human kindness. She told herself that she must return to the peak of money and power and make those who once looked down on her regret it. On Jingnan Road, Gu Xiao swept away the remaining snow in the yard. It was already evening, Grandma had prepared dinner, and the two of them gathered around a small table in a square to eat hot meals. "Grandma," Gu Xiao said. Grandma Gu looked at him with a smile. "What's wrong?" "I plan to go back to the club tomorrow." When Grandma Gu heard this, she immediately beamed with joy. "Really? You kid finally figured it out. I've been telling you that the boys in the club and Xiao Wen are all good kids. Grandma looks after people, there is never anything wrong. If someone treats you sincerely, you must treat him sincerely in return." Gu Xiao smiled, his smile without any distractions making Grandma Gu's eyes heat up. Her biggest wish is that this child can put down his hatred, have friends of his own, and live a normal life like an ordinary 19-year-old child. Now, it's finally possible. Just after dinner, Gu Xiao's cell phone received a call from an unknown number. He hesitated to answer the call, and was met with a burst of abuse from the other party. "Are you still shameless? Illegitimate children should live in the gutter. Do you still want to go to the Fu family to fight for the family property? Let's do it." "Bah, how cheap." Gu Xiao was a little confused after being scolded and hung up the phone. Teresa called. "Young master, someone has exposed your story. Online doxing has exposed your information and exposed your mobile phone number. The internet, many people are scolding you online, please turn off your phone first." In the dead of winter, the icy chill came down to his core, and his consciousness was a little confused. Who exposed it? "Teresa, it's unclear at the moment. Did the Fu family take the initiative to expose you? They want to put you at a disadvantage and take advantage of netizens' abuse of you so that they can occupy the moral high ground." Gu Xiao lowered his eyes and shook his head slightly. "I don't believe it, I don't think someone from the Fu family exposed it. There will be an update tomorrow. There should be an update of 50 chapters. Updates will start after early morning, 30 chapters will be updated in the early morning, and updates will continue during the day. Praise me. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 718. His brother probably wouldn't do such a thing. He believed in Fu Nanli. He was about to let go of his prejudices and guard against Fu Nanli. He wanted to reconcile with him, and he wanted to reconcile with the whole world. It is impossible to expose his life experience to the public at this time and put him in the burning fire. Text messages came in one after another, all full of unwarranted abuses against him, all using the most filthy and unflattering words. He has been suffering from school bullying since he was a child. He is obviously familiar with these words and is used to it. But after returning to China, I have never been bullied again. My classmates and friends back home are all very nice. So when he saw these curse words again, he was not used to it, and it was like falling into an ice cave. He called his mother Guyunzu, and while waiting for the call to be answered, he felt that time was moving so slowly and was extremely painful. Hello. The call finally came through. Gu Xiao's voice was a little hoarse. Is it you who exposed this matter? It's not the Fu family, right? Gu Yunzu over there became hysterical. Gu Xiao, what are you talking about? How can you think of me like this? It was Fu Nanli who exposed this matter. I told you that he wanted to kill you. You remember, your brother is a ruthless person and he will not let go of any brother who has interests that conflict with him. Gu Xiao shook his head, his eyes red. I don't believe it, I don't believe it. He is not that kind of person. His brother Fu Nanli is not that kind of person. He has always been a sensitive person and can clearly feel the aura of the other person. He either despises or respects him equally. When Fu Nanli came to him to play games, there was no contempt or disdain in his eyes. It was the look that looked at him as normal people that made him temporarily let go of his prejudices and make him willing to chase his dream and stand on the podium with Wen Qi and the others. Fu Nanli couldn't be duplicitous. He didn't believe it. Gu Yunzi gritted his teeth. Why are you so stupid? Do you know who Fu Nanli is? He has a very deep character. His former cousin Fu Zhang was imprisoned by him, and he also had a cousin named Fu Cheng. Now he has been sent to Africa, and you are his brother and the most direct candidate for the struggle for interests. Of course, he will spare no effort to get you. If one day, the Fu family has to claim you back, you must not take it lightly. I don't know how you died then. Gu Xiao's whole body trembled. That's enough, stop talking. He didn't believe it. He climbed up from hell level by level with difficulty. How much energy did he spend to convince himself that Fu Nanli was trustworthy? When he wanted to get along with his brother, a huge change suddenly occurred. He didn't want to waste all his efforts and he didn't want to go back to the world again. In that hell without warmth and sunshine. He was afraid to be there. He didn't want to go back to the past. But he seemed to have no choice. The final straw for Gu Xiao was the call he got from the reporter who exposed the incident. I know that you are suffering from online violence now, but don't blame me. The Fu family is so powerful that I have to follow their instructions, especially Master Fu. He is very powerful. If I don't follow what he says, come here, I can't survive in this country, classmate Gu, so don't blame me. If the Fu family doesn't recognize you, you'd better go to country M to avoid the limelight. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 719. Gu Xiao let go and his phone fell to the floor. He stretched out his hand to support the desk and sat in the chair. Gu Yunzu wanted the Fu family to recognize Gu Xiao under pressure. The second is to make Gu Xiao full of resentment towards Fu Nanli, so that he will be full of fighting spirit when fighting for family property in the future. Her abacus was very good. She felt that if the Fu family wanted to show their face, they would definitely admit Gu Xiao into the house. The Zhonghuan group's annual meeting had just ended. When they left the hotel, a large number of media had already been stationed outside. The flashlights came on one after another, almost blinding people's eyes. The bodyguards struggled to escort the three Fu family members into the car. Fu Nanli and Ye Mingkai were in the same car, and Fu Huaiyang was in a car alone. Four black luxury cars struggled to leave from the brightly lit hotel entrance. The reporters frantically blocked the cars and clicked the shutter. Everyone wanted to take a picture of young Master Fu looking cold or angry. After all, he was originally the only prince in the direct line of the Fu family, but suddenly he had a younger brother out of thin air. How could this prince, who had most likely been kept in the dark, not get angry? After the four luxury cars left the hotel entrance, the reporters began to look through the pictures they had taken, and found that except for the gloomy expression on the prince's face, he did not seem to be angry. It was a pity. But I can't stop these reporters from adding more color to these photos. As a result, the prince of the Fu family learned that he had a younger brother, and the news that he fell out in public quickly spread throughout the internet. Gu Yunzu's move caught Fu Shi off guard, and there was a brief moment for the news to ferment. Gu Xiao saw the overwhelming news. Those sensational headlines, Master Fu turned against his father in public and refused to acknowledge his illegitimate brother, were like needles pricking his heart, and he felt like he couldn't breathe. The air pressure in the shallow lake villa was extremely low, and Ye Mingkai and Fu Huaiyang felt very uneasy. Both of them naturally knew about Gu Xiao's existence, and they both thought that Fu Nanli had no knowledge of this matter before. This incident was exposed so that everyone was caught off guard. Fu Huaiyang didn't even think about how to tell his grandson. The fact that his son had an affair and even had an illegitimate child has always been the most secretive thing in the Fu family. Uncle Li and the other servants were all silent and did not dare to speak. There was an oppressive silence in the mansion. Uncle Li's cell phone vibrated. He picked up the phone and responded softly, "Yes, I know, okay, I will talk to the old man." Uncle Li put away his cell phone, walked to Fu Huaiyang, and said cautiously, "The people in the public relations department have already dealt with the comments on the internet. None of the major TV stations and newspapers reported this matter this time. After all, those reputable TV stations all know the power of the Fu family. Not only the Fu family, but also the Ye family of Shaocheng cannot be offended. The ones that came were all tabloids and self-media on the internet. All the matters related to the Fu family were removed." Fu Huaiyang glanced at his grandson without any trace, and waved his hand gently, "I know. Also, who was the first to expose this matter? Have you found out?" Qin Bei on the side stepped forward and said, "It's a small self-media reporter named Peng Qiang. He got a green card from Country M some time ago and has now boarded a plane to Country M." Fu Huaiyang looked sinister. "He thinks he can rest easy if he escapes to Country M, right? You notify the people in Country M, prosecute him, slander Fu's reputation, and then extradite him back to China to serve his sentence. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me." Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 720. Qin Bei, yes. The mansion was quiet again. Fu Huaiyang glanced at Fu Nanli, "I didn't intentionally hide this from you." Ye Mingkai's heart was filled with pain. Now everyone knew that the man she once liked betrayed her and had an illegitimate child. Face was second to none, and what she felt bad about was that he was already in trouble, yet he still had to become the talk of the town. After thinking about it, She smiled to herself. Why did she still think about him so much? She always made excuses for him during her lifetime. Years after her death, the Fu family's reputation suffered because of his problems, which made her become someone else. The abandoned wife and the butt of jokes. Yamingkaiu, why bother? Fu Xianyuan has never accepted your favor. Fu Nanli rolled his eyes and said, I already know about this matter. Fu Huaiyang and Yamingkaiu were both shocked. Yamingkaiu remembered that when he and his sister were talking about something in the gym, Nanli stopped outside. He said he didn't hear it at the time. Now it seems that I have probably heard it. You heard it when I was chatting with your aunt, right? Fu Nanli's eyes flashed slightly, and then he said, yes. Qinbei looked surprised. It was clearly the illegitimate son who had sent the message to the young master. Even now, the young master was still defending him. The young master protects him so much, but he plots against the young master like this, ignoring the young master's reputation. It is really a waste of the young master's protection for him. Yamingkaiu couldn't help but blame herself. Nanli heard it, but still pretended that nothing happened and talked to them calmly. God knows how uncomfortable he felt at that time. She knew that Fu Xianyuan might not be a good husband, but he was indeed a good and competent father. He cared deeply about Nan Li. He was a man who was not very career-minded. After giving birth to Nan Li, he spent most of his energy on after educating children. It was she who joined the Zhonghuan group to help her father-in-law. In Nan Li's eyes, his father was a godlike person who was perfect, yet such an unbearable thing suddenly happened to him. Just thinking about the suffering in Nanli's heart these days, Yamingkaiu felt so distressed that he couldn't breathe. The things that she had covered up about her previous generation that were not allowed to be brought to light were finally revealed to the world. Your father? Yamingkaiu's mouth trembled a little, and he didn't know how to say this. Fu Nanli was calmer than her and looked at his grandfather. So how do you plan to deal with this matter? Fu Huaiyang looked at him with worried eyes. Nanli, are you okay? In this world, what he cares about most is his grandson. Fu Nanli was expressionless. My mood is not important. What is important is how you want to deal with my father's other son. Fu Huaiyang suddenly said loudly, what other son? I have never acknowledged the existence of that illegitimate son. His surname is Gu. He is a bastard born to the woman named Gu Yunzu. He has nothing to do with our Fu family. Fu Nanli ignored his hysteria and said calmly, the matter has been exposed. It is not a matter of whether we admit it or not. I will deal with those remarks, and I will not allow those people to discuss our Fu family's affairs. Fu Nanli frowned deeply. Do you think you can completely control public opinion? My opinion is that since the matter has been exposed, then just admit Gu Xiao into the Fu family. Yamingkaiu's eyes widened in shock.